just gonna... Oh, shit. Uh-oh. What?!
So you're a high-level squid sprayer, you've got a butt-ton of cash, and you've bought just about every item in the game. So you've pretty much beaten Splatoon, right? Well, I mean, there's still this guy, but nobody cares about all that stuff. It's all about your rank. So let's get you ranking up like nobody's business. You don't win Splat Zones by making your base look pretty. Up in here, we ain't playing turf time or whatever it's called. This is the big boy leagues. There's a thing you gotta do. And if your opponents do it first, boy howdy are you gonna have a mess to clean up. The first team to claim the Splat Zone gains a huge advantage because the entire zone will be evenly filled with their ink.
You have to cover around 75% of the zone to claim it, though walls still don't count. Once you do, the timer will start counting the number of seconds until your team... Wait a minute, those aren't seconds! What kind of crazy world are we living in here?
Well, a squid world. Maybe those are squid seconds. Squeckins.
If the bad guys manage to ink around 50% of the Splat Zone, it will become neutral again, and you'll stop gaining squeckins.
Now, of course, that doesn't mean that you should just jump into the middle of the point, spraying your stuff all over the place as soon as you get there. Nah, in Splatoon, we like to do things a little more subtly, like sending in an ink tornado! Or just make sure that you aren't surrounded by the other team while you're going at it. You may be able to make a beeline to the point and capture it before anyone else gets there, but this only works on certain maps and with certain loadouts. Most of the time, you'll have to secure the area the old-fashioned way, with a duel.
Understanding your weapon is key to doing better than trading one-for-one in ranked battles. Certain weapons and loadouts are favored in certain combat situations, so size up the playing field before diving to your death. Trading up or at least even is vital if you want to give your team the advantage they need to cap a point and keep it.
If your weapon has a quick fire rate like the Splattershot Jr. or Aerospray, you've got to take on a support role, quickly capping points and making it harder for your opponents to sneak around the relevant areas of the map will give your team the edge they need to secure kills without dying themselves. These weapon types typically don't have a good range, so you'll need to take on a high ground or squid around to ensure you get the kill.
Snipers and long-range weapons like the Squelchers need a vantage point to do their dirty work, but the investment can totally be worth it. These weapons aren't usually used for taking a point, but rather to provide guaranteed kills to support the rest of the team so that they can do it for you. Make sure to watch your back while perched though, as once the enemies have wisened up to your tricks, they'll be coming for your head as top priority.
Power weapons such as rollers or blasters need to play a little more stealthily because of their somewhat limited range and relatively low fire rate. Once an enemy is in range, however, these weapons almost always trade up when used well. Quickly dispatching individual members of the other team allows these weapons to often go 2, 3, or even 4 for 1, an entire team kill! And if they manage to survive once the splatting is done, they can move in to cap a point with relative ease.
When you've nailed a few squids, you can use your remaining ink to take the point. But don't think that your job is done just because you captured the zone. We gotta keep those buggers out!
The enemy team will be using everything at their disposal to try to get past your defenses, to try to put yourself in their shoes when making sure they don't have access to the point. All maps are symmetrical to some degree, so think about what shortcuts you would be using if you wanted to sneak around a spawn-camping enemy team.
You should check the gamepad map often to see where the enemies are actively inking and to stop their advance if one of your teammates died and lost their flank. If one inkling slips past your defenses, they can devastate your whole team because no one expects a squid from behind. Plus, if the other team caps the point, if even for a squecond, a penalty counter will be added to your clock, which you'll have to deplete before gaining points again. What a waste!
If you die, super jumping to your teammates can be crucial to ensure that you keep up the pressure on the other team. It's a race to the place of battle, in the base. Oh. Well, I guess one requirement, regardless of defending or attacking, is to always jump to a team member who's safe. If you jump to somebody in combat and they don't win their duel without dying, you'll be landing in a place that is very easily spawn camped, which means another 10 seconds in which you're not pressuring the other team. Be patient. Even if your team is losing, it's better to play it safe than to die trying to save a few squeckins. If you lose the zone, don't worry. You'll be alive to take it back.
The most important thing about playing a game of Splat Zones is, well, the Splat Zones. It's in the freaking title. If you decimate the other team but no one caps the point, you're losing precious squeckins that could mean the game. There are 3 main steps to capturing the point when it belongs to the other team.
Step 1!
Don't get spawn camped.
Step 2!
Splat some dudes.
Step 3!
Ink the point.
Yep, it's pretty much that simple. You don't need to eliminate everyone on the other team to retake a point, but if you just dash in and spray the square, or send in an ink strike with no one there to back it up, the other team will just take it back for free. Help your teammates out if they're trying to pressure an area, and make sure you take into account your weapon's range when going for kills. Sometimes, just taking turf can distract the other team enough for an ambush.
You might need to use a special to put on the necessary pressure to brush the other team back, but that doesn't mean you should stand around in your base inking up every nook and cranny. Your team needs you! Every inch of ink makes a difference when trying to gain the advantage over opponents who have a majority of the map, and your ink Zuka will do nothing for your team if they're all dead by the time you use it. Plus, you get extra special charge when covering your opponent's ink, so get on the battlefield and help your Octbros and Squisters out. There'll be plenty of time to win if your team successfully captures the point, even if you need a little bit of...
Thanks to the way points work in Splatoon, your team always has a chance of winning, even if you're behind by dozens of squeckins. If your team is way behind, just throwing an ink strike into a contested point can cap it for a moment, which can put a huge penalty counter on the other team's clock, giving your team the chance to mount a comeback.
Dying in the zone is an almost guaranteed way of losing it to the other team, so if your team is ahead in the last few seconds, be sure to ink it from afar. As long as the point is at least neutral when the time runs out, the losing team won't get overtime, so the team that is ahead should play it safe.
If the game does go into overtime, the team with more squeckins on the clock needs to hold it until they take the lead. The point can go neutral for a few moments, but if it stays that way for too long, the game will end. The defending team will win if they cap the point, so a carefully used special will win the game if timed correctly. If you give it your all, and your team still manages to lose in the end, we've got 3 words of advice for you.
If you've seen our stream, you know I can rage as hard as the worst of them.
He gets so salty, it's like a bowl of ramen up in here.
But heed my words when I tell you it won't make you a better player. If you get on a losing streak or can't seem to get any kills in a game, leave the server and keep playing.
Or open up a pretzel stand.
Hey, it could be that your particular weapon type isn't favored against those opponents. Sometimes, maps favor one weapon type over another, so changing up your loadout can really help you trade up.
Then maybe you won't be as salty as saltine crackers.
If you're the top player on the losing team, you're likely to be paired up with an even worse team next time, so server hop.
Maybe the next one will react with all your sodium chloride.
Hey, cut it out, you!
Oh no, he's assaulting me!
Thanks to everyone for watching our videos.
Keep keeping those points secure until episode 3, Weapons.
Also be sure to like and or subscribe, and definitely follow us on Twitch for more gaming goodness.